Because normally, why we don't want to spend too much? First of all, time restriction. I think we spend too much on the food, so don't blame us. So basically, it's the order of how you carry the bear. Okay, when you carry the manji or the bed, in which order should you carry? There should be 4. You rotate the corners, which is the sunnah, how you should go. Dislike thingy, run ahead of it. When you're going, what you find now when cars are going to the janazah, the car at the hearse is at the front, and everyone legs it to the janazah first. It is dislike makruh for you to pass the body. The body should always be at the front. Just like a groom and a wedding, who is at the front? Try passing the groom, they frown at you. It's the exact same thing. This is a groom entering the grave, entering the presence of Allah. Respect it, get in line. Okay, nothing. Only people that should pass them and get there first is the family who need to prepare the burial, or anyone from the burial. Everyone else line up, follow them behind. Small child, ideally, hands. Sunnah of the Prophet used to keep them in the hands, and he used to take it in the hands, okay, to show the affection and thingy. Recite Bismillah, then it goes on to the rest. Head should be towards the front when you're carrying it towards the masjid or carrying it towards the graveyard. Carry the janazah by 40 steps. Each individual should ideally hold from the right shoulder. I'm standing in this corner, 10 steps. Then I'm going to move to the feet, swap 10 steps here. Then I'm going to move to the left shoulder, 10 steps. Then I'm going to move there 10 steps. So I've carried 40 steps this janazah. Okay, it's a sunnah to do, but considering how many people there be, don't fight people to think here. What people do, they try to go hold the coffin, okay, for awliya, for great people. If you want the thingy of, but sunnah is to carry 10 steps. So if you want to touch it and carry 10, that's your sunnah element fulfilled. Don't hit people and bang people out just to fulfill that, okay. When the janazah is coming into the hall and is about to be placed, do not sit before the bier is put on the floor. Again, grooms sit first, people sit after, okay? Unless you're elderly or muhtaj, you're allowed to sit. Other than that, everybody stays standing until it's been put on the ground. Do not shake, do not jolt. It's not a race to get to the grave first. Be fast, don't be slow, but be gentle with it, the way you carry it. Recite any dua or ayah of the Quran loudly, okay, la ilaha illallah. Okay, you can do it on that. Refrain from speaking about dunya. Some people I've seen play music while they're going around, and I'm like, what can I say? That speaks for itself, to be honest. Obviously, this is a janazah. The only one thing I'm going to speak about for takbirs, if you're struggling to learn the dua of Salatul Janazah, the 2 things highlighted in red is the only thing you change for a man and a woman in dua. So as you can say, it says, Man ahyaytahu. Where it says who, it means the male. All you need to change that to is man ahyaytaha, for a female. Some people, I have to learn 2 duas. Just learn the one and just change the who to a ha. Okay? And then young children have a separate dua, quite short. That's all it is, to be honest. Where should it be performed? Ideally, janazah salahs are never performed in a masjid, but within this country we're quite limited, so it's performed in a masjid. Normally you have a janazah gah, a separate hall which has the janazah taking place. That's what it used to be. There should, some people do it in the grave, in the graveyard, but make sure if you're doing your janazah salah, there's no grave right in front of you. Go to a bit of an empty area and do your janazah salah over there. Perform away from the thingy, there's no obstruction. That speaks for itself. Let's move on, please. Dislike to perform while the sun is at the 3 zawal times. Okay, don't perform your salatul janazah at 3 times. When the sun is rising, when the sun is before Zohar, and when the sun is setting before Maghrib. These 3 times it is makruh, dislike for you to perform any nawafil. So therefore you don't do your Salatul Janazah these times. If Asr, late Asr, Maghrib is coming, delay it till after Maghrib. If it's Fajr, someone passed away and everything's ready, read Fajr, let the sun rise, then perform the Janazah Salah. Don't do it at these 3 months. Now if you go to the masjid and you see a Janazah happening, I just walked in, I don't know if it's a male or a female, whose Janazah is it? How do I know what dua to do? If the Imam is standing at the head side of the Mayyat, it's a boy, it's a man. If the Imam stands in the chest region, it is a woman's Janazah. So if you can see the Imam, you should be able to tell whose Janazah it is. Okay? Head side, it is a male. Middle side, it is a woman's Janazah. And then you will do your dua according to that. Same applies whether it's a boy or whether it's a girl. Types of graves. First grave you will see is called a lahad. This is the grave that the Prophet ﷺ was buried in. It is not a rectangular grave. It is a grave that goes down and then an angle is dug in a corner. So if you were to stand in front of the Prophet ﷺ grave, let's say hypothetically this was the grave, the body of the Prophet, let's say this is the Qibla this way, the body would be here, not straight underneath because it's in a corner. You put a plank and then you cover all of this. This is known as Lahad grave, the grave of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions of people. But it's important, this grave, the reason you don't have this in the UK, in the UK you have this al-Shaq grave. It's basically a rectangle, straight down, you put the body in the center and you put a plate on top and you cover it. Question is, why the difference? Because Lahad, because it cuts into the corner, that's ideally for countries where the soil is hard. Pakistan, Africa, Middle Eastern, Saudi Arabia, there's no chance of the thingy falling into that corner. So you do a Lahad grave. UK, Manchester, it rains 24/7. So the moment you dig it, it's going to collapse. So that's why over here, they kind of reinforce the sides so it doesn't fall over. So that's the type of grave that you have here. You have big planks on the sides. Other places that are poor, that can't afford these planks, believe it or not, there are times now if you go to poor countries, they can't afford planks and to have a rest, a cushion. What they do, they'll just put a plank like this, corner to corner, and put all the soil on top of it. Others, they can only afford a small plank on each side to support. So that's the 4 types basically of the graves that you have. In this country, you're quite limited, you can't choose what you want, they'll always do the rectangular one. Bury as soon as possible, basically. You place it with the head first. Okay, 2 people should enter the grave. There's no limit to how many people enter. Well, obviously, you got 10 people, you can't get the body in, so be realistic. 2 people is sufficient just to grab the 2 ends, put them in. Head side goes first, face the Qibla. The head should face, tilt it towards the right. Okay. Desirable that the mahram or the close relatives should enter the grave. The husband should not enter the grave of the wife. Okay, ideally, other mahram should. Okay, the ladies, brothers, the father, etc., whoever's present should go in first. Now, one important thing here, you'll see the last point is to hold a sheet. If you ever get a chance to witness a janazah in Medina or Makkah, especially in Saudi Arabia now, or sometimes in other countries, what they'll do, if you see a janazah going on a grave, someone's being buried, you can tell whether that person being buried is a girl or a boy. Because if it's a girl, what they'll do, they'll put a big chadar over the grave. So there'll be 2 people standing or 4 people. The whole grave will be covered with a sheet. And the people will go under and bury her. The reason is, in case the coffin comes undone, no gair mahram can see the lady being buried. So it is like a parda haya, covering the lady. Once the soil is being put, they remove the sheet. Okay, so that is what it used to be in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. When you raise it into the grave, again, Bismillahi wa billahi ala millati Rasulullah, in the name of Allah, upon the deen of the Prophet ﷺ, we send you into your next home. Again, before Munkar and Nakir come, you become good hospitable hosts. So every stage you are respecting this mayyat and you are giving it a good outcome. Okay, leading it towards good. We spoke about that. Desirable for those present, do the dua while it's being lowered. The masnoon, to turn it a bit to the right. You can put a bit of a cloth underneath it or a bit of a brick just to tilt it to the right towards the Qibla. Head, side and chest, the 3 strips, like we said, we can undo them. There's no need for them anymore. And close the grave with bricks, etc. Shouldn't be baked stuff, shouldn't cement the whole thingy over it. Normally what they do, they put slabs and they'll get a bit of mud and they'll fill the corners just with the mud so nothing falls through it. How should it be filled? How was the grave of the Prophet ﷺ? First of all, openings I've mentioned that put mud or grass so nothing seeps through it. The use of fabrics, blankets is wasteful. Like I said, clothe a homeless person outside. Don't put extra sheets just to show someone's pious. Now put dust onto the grave. Mustahab to put thrice from the head using both hands. Now there's 3, this is a sunnah. If you ever go to someone's janazah and you follow them to the graveyard, I've seen people, what they do, they go grab the shovel and say, let me put 3 in. Yeah, you don't need to grab the shovel. Okay, let the family deal with the shovel. All you need to do is go up, get the mitti or the soil or whatever, Okay, grab it, okay, go towards the head side and just throw 3 handfuls in. From earth we created you, when you throw the first one. From the earth you go into, from the earth you will be risen. That's your sunnah done. Step away. Let everyone fulfill their sunnah as much as they can. But that is the 3 quick du'as that you recite. From earth you created, from the earth you have gone into, and from the earth you will rise. Okay, if you can't learn the Arabic, learn the thing in your own language. You're fulfilling the sunnah. Rules regarding the grave, quickly: disliked, whatever soil was dug out is what you put in. You don't get more soil from outside and lift the grave so high, etc. Yeah, sunnah is whatever came out, whatever you put on top. And that means the shape of the grave should be like a camel hump. And if you know, the camel hump is like this. Okay, just a bit of a curvature of the grave. That's the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you go to Jannatul Baqi now, or Jannatul Mala, especially Jannatul Baqi, because Jannatul Mala they flattened it, but if you go to Jannatul Baqi, you'll still see a bit of a curvature on some of the graves. That is whatever was taken out, think of it is. Over time, what tends to happen is those people that don't visit graveyards, over time when it rains, that it kind of becomes flattened. That is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to visit the grave. And it is also sunnah what he used to do. If the mud gets less, get some more mud and just create the hump again. Okay, a grave should be symbolized by the hump, and get water and sprinkle water from head to feet. So any of you seen the Earth Rule series, yeah, you might know this sprinkle water, yeah, forgotten sunnah. Our people don't do it. Okay, if you got a lota, if you got a mug, some have fountains in the graveyards, go get some and sprinkle water. Okay, while on the top of the grave. And then obviously, have we got anything else?
No, I think that's all.
Make dua for them. Basically, they're coming for munkar and nakir. This is the true when the imam or somebody that's there that lowers them. Now their grave is filled. You stand on the head side, they do the izan, the iqama on the head side, and they will do tilawat of this first few ayahs of Surah Baqarah. Okay, and then they will do the last recitation of Surah Baqarah. Was there anything else in the previous one? Maybe just go
it's just the
back.
key verses, yeah.
Actually, you would do talqeen then. Okay, that was on the previous slide. So you will do talqeen. And some wobblers and Salafi, they say, oh, check this guy out talking to the grave. Okay, they go into the graveyard and he thinks he's talking to the grave. It is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when this person is in the grave now, he is still conscious of you around. Okay, they say hadith, no person can deny these, that he can hear your footsteps while you leave the qabristan. The moment the last person leaves the qabristan, munkar and nakir descend and his questioning begins. So while you lower him, it is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He used to put his head down to the head side and they used to give him advice again. The way you did talqeen before he was dying, you reminded him, read the shahada, okay, you recite again, because he can hear you. You can't hear him, he can see you, he can hear you. You remind him, say, get ready for munkar and nakir, recite this. And if Allah wills, because of you, Allah will give him tawfiq to recite it. So to do talqeen, it is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mourning period, quite simple, 3 days for family, friends, community. A woman has a length of 4 months and 10 days, okay, to mourn. And Jordan, I'm going to mention a quick one here, is this is known as the iddat period, okay? And I've seen women, what they do is, sometimes they get divorced or sometimes the husband passes away. They start looking for a rishta for that woman while she's in an iddat period. It is haram for you to look for her new spouse or start doing rishta talks when she is in an iddat period. And it's a second haram act if you're lying to the other family, not telling them that she's in an iddat period. It is fully forbidden to even talk about new rishta for her in them 3-4 months. Soon as it passes, now it is jaiz halal to start looking for her new rishta if you want to. There are a lot of things we see in our community, people are unaware of it, they say quickly get it done before time is passing, but you got to respect the rules of Sharia in regards to that. So we'll take a quick break. I'm conscious we kind of went through that quite fast, is because we want to finish on the time, to be honest. And wills is one of the parts that we introduced last year extra based on request. So you will have a chance to give feedback, and on the feedback there's an element there. Is there any topics you would like to cover in the future that the community needs, that you will find desirable? Make a note of them, because people gave this Islamic wills on a previous, it'd be quite nice to have, and we introduced it. and people actually find it really good. So if there is any further topics you want to do, we cater for them. Ustaz Sufyan will mention a bit more about the other courses that we deliver. So I think if you want to take a quick
Yeah, if you come back